Hello everyone. It's been a bit of a problem with the camera, but I think we are live. You should be seeing me now and hearing me. So the new year starts with a few bugs, but I'm here, so hopefully you can see me all right. Please let me know if you saw that black screen. I'm sorry, something's happening with the iPhotos. He's seeing the iPhone and he wants to download photos. I don't know why. So I am hoping for a confirmation from you that everything is good and that you can hear me and see me. Yes, clear. All right, cool. So I have no idea what happened, but it is solved. So there you go. All right, well, Happy New Year, everyone. It's been only a week for us, but you know, a whole new year has begun, and some people want to get 2020 out of the way as soon as possible. As we saw last week, I was actually kind of content with the 2020, and you know, assuming everybody's healthy, then I think it opened up so many possibilities and opportunities to discover, you know, what it is we love and how we're doing with the things we really like, you know, because everything gets put into perspective, you know, as when something as strange as this pandemic happens. So if you are new, well, welcome, Happy New Year to you, and also welcome to these video streams. We do it every Saturday, 6:30 Central European Time, and I usually teach a couple of things about guitar, music, composition, theory, chords, you know, all kinds of stuff. And then we always open it up for questions, so it might kind of be your weekly guitar lesson in a little way, because I always try to help when I can, you know, with your questions. If you're new and you haven't yet, please consider subscribing, because it will really help out. And the channel is kind of being revived after so many years of doing a lot of videos and the encyclopedia and all that. So if you feel like subscribing, it will really help. And if you want to spread the word, that too is really appreciated. And so we're going to get started. I'm just going to talk a little bit about 2021, what I'm thinking I could and should be doing in 2021. And I'm usually quite disciplined, and you know, I'm kind of I don't know, I tend to do a lot of stuff, and so it's not like I need any incentives, but sometimes it's good to just sit down and go like, what is it that I really want to do, you know, instead of what I have to do. And even though I have a very privileged life in a sense, because I actually do what I want, but sometimes you kind of get carried away by things you think you should do and you ought to do, and sometimes it's good to just remind yourself of what it is you want to do. And so I'm going to go over just a few things that I'll be doing this year. And of course, today is going to be a lot more fun if you guys share your plans for 2021. And if you weren't here last week, you can of course also share your thoughts on wait, my phone is going crazy. I hope there's no delay because it's connecting to all kinds of stuff on my computer. And so, yeah, so we're going to get started. Let me see. That is art. Hello. Did you paint that wall, or there's a guitar missing? Yes, this guitar usually hangs there. I'm keeping it here, you know, close by, because if you have any questions about guitar, then I can pick it up and help you out at the end of the video. But no, yeah, there's one guitar missing, there's this one. And then there's more guitars that you haven't seen probably. Well, we did have a video on guitars, but there's a few guitars there, and the basses are here, and a few guitars there. Too many guitars mainly, but you know, it's never enough, is it? And the amps also, maybe there's a few you haven't seen. But tough year for many for sure, and always hope for better for all. Yes, so it has been a tough year, but I think it's been revealing, so to speak. So you see there's a bit of hang on the phone. I'm really sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. Something is going on, but I have no idea what it is. Hopefully we'll go through the video. And so I'm gonna start, but think of the things you wanna do this year, because then I would really love to hear from you about your plans. So my first thing is probably a new album. I have started to work on the new album. I have I'm demoing songs, so it's not like I'm starting from zero. I've already been working on it this past year. But to 2021, if I can't release the album, I think it will be the year where I you know, I really get started with it officially, like, you know, going to studios, recording at least some drums, then, you know, track in my studio and maybe even mix, so I don't know if it will be done by the end of the year, but it certainly will be in progress, right? So, and a new album is such a huge undertaking. Sometimes people forget, how much work it is to make a new album. Not just the songs, which of course, writing 10 or 11 songs is not the easiest thing, especially because you usually write more and then you narrow it down. But a new album is a lot of work because it just logistically it's so complicated, and then making the vision become a reality. So it's a lot of work. But this year it's really the year that it will be, put together. And so that's something I'm really looking forward to. But of course, it all depends on how many great songs I can put together. And I'm on the third or fourth demo, which usually what I do for a new album is I write a lot of stuff without even thinking about anything, no records or nothing. And as I said last week, I think I have about 1,005 now, or 6 voice memos. Then I have my cassettes here on my 4-track. This is where I record a lot of my demos, because 4 tracks, if you can't make a good song with 4 tracks, then you won't get better with 20 or 40. And so my process usually is to just sit there with my 4-track and record a little something with a drum machine and a bass and just a couple of guitars. And if it's promising, then I move it into Pro Tools and then I basically start over. But I have that first, the first idea on cassette. And as you can see, I just usually make very short demos on cassette. So you see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's already 5 song ideas on this cassette, and it's not even it's not even halfway through, or barely. And so what I'm doing usually is I write maybe a verse, a chorus, maybe a riff, the main blocks. And as soon as I see that there's something there, then I bounce it onto Pro Tools, so 4 separate tracks, and then I also make a stereo mix, and it goes into Pro Tools, and it's always there. So even as I'm working on the song later, I always record on cassette, and I always have the cassette demo on my Pro Tools session, because sometimes when you go and actually write the song, you kind of lose track of what it was that made the demo great. So I always have the cassette ready, and I can listen to it and go like, well, you're losing stuff, you're losing the bounce of a song or the rhythm or the purpose. And so then I adjust. But so I have about 40 maybe ideas that are good on cassette, but then, making it into song. And the thing is, when you start a new album, when you decide you're going to start a new album, that's why it's so important that to me 2021 is going to be the year where I start the new album. When you start a new album, you start seeing your material in a different way. So you start seeing the material with a purpose for the whole record. They're not just songs anymore. And also it makes you write music. It inspires you to write certain songs that you think will fit in the album, and then maybe sometimes they don't. But even if they don't, then it kind of sparks new ideas. And usually what I have is maybe 7 or 8 songs that I decide will be on the record. And then I have maybe 3 or 4 songs or 2 that I just decide to just write after I've collated the first 8 or 9. So I really enjoy it, because after I have these 8 or 9 songs ready, then my mind keeps working towards the idea of the album, and I kind of put it together with 2 or 3 new songs. It's a strange, it's hard to explain, but I write those 2 or 3 extra songs to kind of pull the whole thing together. And sometimes they're really different from the rest of the songs, because I think, well, this record needs something completely different. It needs maybe a different ending, like City Lights for Lights and Shadows is such a different song from the record. In Mystic Electric, one of the strangest songs on this album is The Best We Can, because it's a very simple song, but it's so outside of what the whole record is, right? It's very electronic and very a mix of ancient technology with classic guitar tones, and at the same time you have this really strummy guitar song that's really happy and upbeat. So I enjoy doing that, and so that's why I'm saying having the new album as a goal doesn't mean that it's going to be released this year, but it certainly is going to be focus of my efforts for music and production. So that's one of them. And by the way, if you haven't listened to my records, this is your chance. I'm selling all my CDs for four CDs for 36, which is basically 4 for the price of 3. There's a link below, and as you know, we make music because we want people to hear it. So that's why I'm selling my records. It's no different from an album when you go live and you sell it. at the venue, and it's that's what we do. You make music and you try to share it with the world. But if you don't buy CDs anymore, that's fine. There's links below for iTunes, Spotify, whatever you want, and you find them on YouTube. And so new album, that's my first thing. Then the second thing, oh, by the way, let me just stop for a second. Happy New Year, Alberto. What's up? Good to see you. That is art. My guitar plans for 2021 is for my left hand fingers to communicate with my right hand fingers better and improve speed by going through your book one. Well, great. That is a great plan, if I may say so. And yeah, anything that has to do with improving your playing, and this year I'm planning on doing a lot more of the tutorials, and the teaching about how to do things, and we'll keep it random because I think it's very important to keep your mind sharp. And so I won't follow any order. If you want order, there's the encyclopedia here on the channel, but otherwise I'll do that. And also I see a few of you who are long distance Skype students of mine, and so of course with you guys it will be something a bit more of course structured, because I know exactly what it is you need. But for all of you who are not, then you'll never know what hits you every Saturday. But do feel free to suggest things. Happy New Year, Indraj. Oh, Shushan, Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, it's good to see you. And Indrajit, what's up, Indrajit? Haven't seen you in a while, right? Happy New Year. My resolution is to practice some new scales. That is cool. That is great. Please keep on coming. Keep your resolutions and goals coming. I'm going to go on with another one, which is new books, because I really enjoyed writing my previous book. If you haven't seen it, this is which one is it? This one? This is my first book, and it's part of a whole method that will be coming out, so throughout the next few months and maybe years. And the first chapter, so to speak, is on alternate picking, which I think is the most important of all techniques, because it really focuses your hands and your technique in a way that then will help you develop everything else. It doesn't matter if it's sweep picking or tapping or legato or whatever it is. As long as it has a pick, then alternate picking is it. You can actually get by just with that, as long as you have become very proficient. So my plan is to finish the one that I'm working on, which is a pretty intense book. It's going to be out maybe in the next couple of months, maybe 1 month. I don't want to put them all together, because I know you guys, if you want to buy them, then I don't want to put one out every week, because first of all, it takes a long time to write them. And then also I want to space it out so you can manage it. And so, but certainly one is coming out, and I hope maybe 2 or 3 throughout the year I'll be able to write 2 or 3, and so get the guitar method going, and that way also for the videos we'll have something in common. So you can ask me questions about it. We can talk about alternate picking with a specific example. And if you haven't got the book, that's fine. And if you look back maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a video where I gave out a few pages so you can work on it. I understand some people just, right now, especially with this pandemic, you're not working. Maybe you are not, you don't have a big income or enough income. So some things have to go. And I understand that buying a book of somebody on YouTube is not your priority. That's fine. And but go back maybe a couple of videos, I think it was 2 videos ago. And I gave out a few pages that you can work on, okay? And that would be certainly better than nothing, and it will really help you out with your technique. So I plan on doing this with every book. I will give out a few pages, and so people who can't afford it, or for whatever reason they don't want to afford it, then they can still work on it and practice and get better, all right? Plus, all the videos every week will have some teaching, so you'll be able to improve anyway, all right? So that's the plan, but if you are interested, there's a link below for the book. And the next thing I want to do this year, after the album and the books, is this channel here, this YouTube channel. Focus even more on it. I don't know if I'll be able to add a video during the week. I was thinking of it, instead of doing only live streams, maybe go back to the Inside the Song videos, but those weren't very popular. It took me a long time to make them, and to be honest, they haven't been very successful. Which is, I don't measure success by the views, but if I put so much work into something, then it's good to know that it works, that it helps, because otherwise why do it? And so maybe I'll look for something else. Maybe it will be something more with production. And I don't enjoy making videos as much as I enjoy these live streams, so I kind of have to figure something out. But the live streams will keep going, and so I'm hoping to make better videos and better topics, better teaching. or maybe I won't change anything. It depends on what you guys want. I know most of you are very happy with these videos and the live streams. And so let me know if you want me to change anything, if you want me to go in one direction or another, or if you just want me to be like, you know, like what I'm doing now, which is kind of scattershot and get a few ideas together and share them. And as always, I will always teach you everything I know. I don't keep anything back because that's stupid. And also, I will, you know, only teach you things that I know about. I will try not to never make a video for the sake of it and teach you stuff for the sake of it just to make a video. So you can kind of trust this channel, all right? And so the next thing, this is something I've been doing throughout this whole year. About a year ago, I bought a piano. This is the piano. It's a Kawai. It's an electric piano, but it's really cool. It's a very good piano because I thought that I wanted to learn how to play the piano. It's something that I had in my mind for a long time, and I decided this is it. I'm going to do it. And so the past maybe 18 months, I've been playing 2 or 3 hours every day. Every morning I come in and I play 2 hours. I come in very early and I get that done. And then sometimes at night I play a little more. And it's been great. I've been learning a lot about classical music that as a listener, I wasn't quite, you know, conscious of a composition and, you know, structure. And maybe I won't be able to apply too much to my stuff, you know. I kind of have my own way of writing songs too, but it's been great. And it's been this great way to get into different music. And so I'm not doing too bad for 1 year, but I need at least, you know, I don't know how much, but I need a few thousand hours more to be proficient. So this year, the piano will be something that I will keep doing. So if you're practicing at home and you feel a bit bad that, you know, things are not working out, think of me. Every morning I'll be there for 2 hours going through the same struggles as you are because I'm a beginner at the piano. Even if I put in maybe, I don't know, what, 1,000 or 2,000 hours, that's nothing, right? So if you feel ever bad about the guitar and you go like, well, look at that guy, he plays so good and so fast and, you know, he knows all stuff. I don't know anything. I know a bit about this thing, but on the piano, I'm as much as a beginner as everyone else, and I find it very liberating to sit down and not expect anything, just, you know, make connections with the brain. And yeah, as a matter of fact, I suggest if you haven't started a new instrument, I find it extremely valuable, even if you're just a guitar player, to get into other instruments. And I played the bass a lot. I played some drums. I also practice drums, but really the piano has opened up so much for me. And we'll get to why just in a little bit, but that's one thing I'm going to do. So the piano is another thing. And then I will try to become a better musician. And that means really working on stuff that I sometimes need to put aside because, for example, if I'm working on an album, I can spend 8 hours a day in the studio and there's just not enough time and energy to work on other things. And so this year, as always, I try to do it. So a few minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour every day to just sit down and play the guitar and focus on things that I find are slipping. So maybe like this year, 2020, I haven't improvised too much, right? So because when I improvise when my band is here and we rehearse or live. But if I'm just writing, then I'm improvising with the purpose of writing music, but I'm not improvising freely with people. So 2021, if possible, I will go out of my way to get together with people that I don't know and to just jam with them. And that's something that's extremely important. And so if I can't do it, I will do what I did in 2020, and it might come in handy for you guys, which is to dedicate a few minutes every day to just sit down with the guitar and play music you hear in your head. Okay, so you hear something in your head and you play. It doesn't matter what your level is. You might say, well, I have something in my head, but I can't play it. I can't relate to what's in my head, you know, and relate it to the guitar. But you can certainly approximate it. So if you hear a note in your head, you can find it. And then if you hear another note, you can decide if it's a higher note or a lower note. You know, we talked about this with ear training. And improvisation is really the best way to connect with the instrument. So your mind and your inspiration with the instrument. And slowly your instrument will become just that, just an instrument, nothing else. It's not a guitar, it's not something you fight with and you learn and you study. It's just an instrument, you know, and what you really study is music and your tools, so maybe your technique, but you're not focusing so much on the instrument. So improvisation, composition, even technique, you know, sometimes I notice that some of my technique is gone because I've been like if I'm writing a record, or maybe even if I'm playing so much. So a lot of the time I spend playing, it's either live or I'm rehearsing. And so sometimes I need to go back and say, well, you know, you should get your picking together for the next record. And that happened to me with Mystic Electric. We did a lot of playing for Lights and Shadows. And when you play live, the focus is to give the best possible show, you know. And so you maybe practice a few times a day your new songs, and then you practice with the band. And so some things slip, you know, because my technique becomes dependent on making the best possible rendition of the songs, not about having the best technique. And so when I started playing, writing for Mystic Electric, I decided that Mystic Electric was going to be a very clean and precise and articulate record. So I wanted to play very clean and very clear. And so I sat down for a month before actually recording and practiced some alternate picking and practiced some techniques and legatos and all that, so that I could perform properly when recording. So that might be something that will be useful for you as well. And the other thing I want to do is continue my studies, and I'm going to share with you a little bit what I've been doing as far as studying. As you know, I went through all the Schoenberg music theory thing, but keeping in the classical tradition, so it kind of goes back to the piano. I've been really going deep into really classical oriented stuff, which I probably never use. But one thing I really want to do is take advantage of my synthesizers and not play them like, you know, like plopping down some chords. I really want them to work kind of as an orchestra. And so I've been really getting heavily into orchestration, composition, counterpoint, all this stuff. And, you know, it's not like I know nothing about it, but I'm just going through all these books and these methods, and it's a lot of work, and I'm not really expecting anything in return. I'm just doing it for enrichment. But who knows, you know. The thing is, I want to be able to work with these instruments, which are kind of new to me, the synthesizers, and work on them musically. You know, I'm not really interested in, oh, here's a chord, I could use violins or I could use a Moog. You know, really just use them musically. So I can't really explain it too well because I haven't made up my mind exactly, but I think you know what I mean. So those are my things. New album, new books, which hopefully will be coming out, the first one quite soon. Then make better videos for the channel, grow the channel. It's been a lot of fun, and you know, try to get better and understand maybe why sometimes things go well, things go wrong. I don't know, but maybe work on that a little more. And then really improve with other instruments, piano especially, but the drums too. And you know, keep on top of my guitar playing, and maybe find new directions for the new record, or you know, whatever. I'm not ready to divulge anything about the new album yet. It's so young, you know. If you start talking about stuff when it's so delicate, you know, you spoil it. So now the best part, I would love to hear what you guys want to do. All right. So keep writing in the chat. There's a bit of a delay, so it's not like I'm not reading your comments. And so please share what it is you want to change from last year, or just something that you feel inspired to do. And if you're watching this from the future, please use the comments, because I really enjoy that, and it informs my decision as to what else to do videos on, because I really want to use these videos to kind of leave a bit of a tiny little, you know, insignificant legacy of content that will be useful for everybody, you know. So with your comments and your chat comments, I understand what it is you are looking for, and you know, with time I'll be able to address it. So let me see. Derizard says, oh wait, yes, Derizard said, he has helped me quite a lot lately to watch how comfortably pro guitarists play, like relaxed. I'm trying to do that as I'm practicing and not tensing up. Yes, well, that actually comes with practice, so that is a good point you make. So yeah, that is art. I think to do that, you just have to practice relaxing, you know, and not worry so much about the result. Just worry about the process. So you go like, okay, I want to relax. That doesn't work. So you play something slowly, you measure your level of tension, if there's any, and you relax, and then you keep doing it, and you relax. So it's just something you check on. Be as scientific as possible in your practice. Indrajit says, it's tempting to start a channel, but I won't know what to talk about. Everything's been said and done, and the competition is fierce. Oh yes, yes. Although I wouldn't let that stop me. Well, I'm not, because I understand that this channel is small, and you know, sometimes I feel like, well, what am I going to talk about? You know, because everything I do is so idiosyncratic. I never studied with a teacher, and I went through all kinds of experiences to get, you know, to get to know what I know. And I think, are people even interested, and is it relatable? You know, so how can I make stuff that in my head is like a big cloud of stuff? How can I make it, you know, precise and concise and useful? And I guess you kind of learn doing it. You know, you learn by doing. I started doing lessons when I was 15 or 16. I charged, you know, 5,000 liras. Fortunately, not too much, so I wasn't too stressed about it. 5,000 liras is about 3 euros for an hour. But you know, I started because I said, well, you know, if you have to learn how to do this, you might as well do it and pick it up. So Indrajit, I would encourage you to start a channel if it is what you want. And although I'm not an eminence on it, as you can tell by the numbers of this channel, but you know, if you think the content is good, then you should do it, you know, and maybe think of why you're doing it. I know why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I would hate for all the stuff that I learned that took me a long time to learn and a lot of effort, I would hate them to get just lost. So even if one person across the planet gets some benefit from it, then I'm fine with it. And also, of course, I use it, of course. Why ignore the fact that if I build a successful channel, then I can use it to get my music out there, you know, because really that's what if you ask me what defines me, I think is my music and my albums. But, you know, apart from that, really the reason I'm doing this is because it's just the dream when you were a kid. You know, when I was a kid, I read interviews with Asimov, and he's like, well, one day you'll be able to log on to a terminal or something he called it, and you'll be able to learn everything you want to learn about anything. But the problem is now with YouTube, for example, there's a lot of great content, but I'm sure there's a lot of content that you're like, why is this guy talking about this? You know, does he have experience? So the little experience I have, my plan is to share it. And, you know, in different ways. So my students here get it firsthand, and they get it tailored to their needs. Of course, that's better. But otherwise, I'm just putting it out there, and that's my goal. And it will keep you focused, and it will keep you going when you get 50 views on a video, while other people with a shitty video, you think it's shitty, and they get 1 million. And you go like, okay, well, that's fine. You know, that if my goal is this, that's what I'm doing. So Indrajit, on my behalf, I would say do it. And I'm sure everybody else in the chat room will feel the same and will watch your videos if you make them, all right? And Jim, what's up, Jim? Finish more music, improve as a musician, learn more theory, and enjoy. Oh, yes. Yes, they're all good, but enjoy is the main thing. If you don't enjoy it, you know, do something else. You don't have to know theory, you know, you don't have to know. Just enjoy what you do. Jenny, hello, Jenny, what's up? Happy New Year. Showing up here has given me motivation to learn the fretboard, working on the different exercises from your book and learning how they sound, also paying attention to the notes, reading music. All right, cool. Well, that is great, because that's exactly why I'm doing this. So, you know, great. And remember that you are your own best teacher. Remember, we said that a long time ago, but it is true. So I'm only doing my small part, because the big deal is what you guys are doing at home, and you know, the music you're making and the effort you put in. That's really what counts. It doesn't matter how good your teacher is. You know, it's all about what you're doing. So that's great to hear. Very encouraging. Thank you. Well, thank you for sharing, and we look forward to your channel. I think they will be memorized. Then I can pull them out of the hat when I need them. Oh yes. Well, everything you work on, you know, you have to work on to the point. That's one thing, actually. Let me talk about this. Might be a bit of useful advice, although you have to watch this whole hour-long video to find it if you're not if you're not live. But when you learn things, you have to be careful with something. Some things you can kind of go over and they get into your consciousness, and that's enough. Okay, so that happens. That can happen sometimes. So, for example, if I'm learning how to use synthesizer, sometimes I would just read, and maybe watch some videos, like thousands of them. Okay. Well, not thousands, but you know what I mean. I a lot, and I just let it stir in my head, and I don't worry too much about it. But some things, like for example the circle of fifths or your interval, your fretboard, these are things that they're either on or off. Like the knowledge of the fretboard, of course you can know it a little bit, but the usefulness of it is if you master it. And so it's really important that when you practice, you don't stop practicing something until you really have it not just memorized, but instilled in your mind. Because sometimes I see people do that. They learn something, and maybe say they need 100 hours to learn it, and they get up to 90, and they stop. And slowly those 90 hours will kind of trickle down to nothing again, because you'll forget it. And you will always forget things that are memorized. You will never forget things that are understood. So that's something very important. If you're trying to really get something in your head, don't let it be something that's memorized, because you need to have it internalized, like 100% part of your mental process, and then it will work. So that's my advice. Never leave something unfinished, because then you'll waste all the time you used to get there. All right. The desired quick question: play any string on frets, say for example 5, 6, 8, 5, 6, 8, 5, 6, 8. Should I lift the index finger while practicing that? All right, that's a good question. Let me see. I knew this would come in handy. All right, so these are the basic combinations from the book, I suppose. And I hope you can hear the guitar. So if I'm playing anything, he's asking if should I do this, lifting all the fingers, or if I'm playing 5, 6, 8, should I just leave the fingers planted? And that's an interesting question, because as a matter of fact, now in the legato book, I go over, because in legato it becomes even more important. There's two ways of thinking about this. In the classical way, for example, it's very common to use that planted finger. So you plant a finger as long as there's notes above it, because you won't hear what happens below them. You keep it planted. But I found that to encourage relaxation and agility and speed and just pure, sound, and to reduce tension, I prefer to keep my fingers nimble. So as you see, I'm always kind of I don't lift them up, but I'm not holding them down either. And so I think you should practice both ways. As a matter of fact, to get started, you could plant the fingers. There's nothing wrong with this. And sometimes it comes in handy. So sometimes it's something you want to be able to do. But otherwise, I suggest you play like this. So very circumstantial, right? So if I need something, I'll do it. Otherwise, I won't. So if I'm playing this 6, I don't really need this 5. And if I'm playing this 8, I don't need these 2. Now, one of the benefits of this is if you're changing strings. So if you're changing strings and you're not holding them down planted, see, now if I have to change strings, I have to lift it up after playing the 8. But if I do this, I'm ready to play the 4th string, right at that moment. So my suggestion is you do it both ways, but you try to lift all of them. I like to lift the index because then it is ready to move somewhere else when necessary. Yes, but all fingers might have to move somewhere, right? So that's what I'm saying. You don't need to. So if I'm playing 5, 6, 8, 6, right? I don't want to be caught here, then lifting this, lifting the other one so they don't ring. It's better to be more agile. So I would suggest to try both ways and lean more on the lifting. Cool, good question. All right, any more resolutions and dreams and hopes? Let me know. Or, of course, any more questions about guitar. I'm more than happy to help out. And please let me know what it is you would like me to cover in the next videos. You know, we're on number 29, which it's easy to say, but 29, it's quite a big number. What is counterpoint? Oh, that's a big question. Jim, counterpoint is one of the pillars of traditional, let's call it classical music. And counterpoint is when two or more voices move in certain directions, because they can be, okay, I'm going to try to keep it short, but you can have two voices move at the same time in different ways. Like the simplest one, right? One goes up and the other goes up too. Or one goes up and the other goes down. Or one goes down and the other goes down. One goes down and the other goes up. One goes like this and the other stays straight. So there's many ways that two or more voices can interact. And we don't want that to be random. Okay, so in our music, rock music, popular music, a lot of it is based on vertical shapes. Especially with the guitar, we're kind of focused on how we interface with the guitar, so how we actually play. Why did I put the guitar down? Right, so if I play an A and I'm a kind of a beginner or just a rock guitarist, then maybe I'll just play the A here, and when the G is here, there's no relationship between where the notes of this chord are, the root, the fifth, and the third, and where the other ones are here. So theory, classical theory, gets into all that. So how you go from an A to a G. Now that's not counterpoint, that's voice leading. But the thing is, you're always conscious of all the voices of your chord. So say your chord has four voices, the root, the third, the fifth, and the root is doubled. These four notes will go to other four notes, four different notes for the next chord. So how we move from one to the other, it becomes a science. And that's voice leading, which in a way is part of counterpoint. Counterpoint says, okay, well, let's not focus on chords strictly, but let's focus on two melodies, for example, and see how they react to one another and how they interact, better said, with one another. And if you want to get an idea of this, you can look for the very simple inventions by Bach, and he's the master of it. And a lot of it, you will see how you can start from the very simple things, that just two voices, and then it goes to three and four. And it's an incredible feeling when you hear it. You hear a piece by Bach, and you can actually follow each line separately. And the thing about counterpoint is that all these lines are satisfying to listen to. So that's great, because with rock music, sometimes, at least what I do, is I always have the riff. The riff is my king, right? The riff is king. The riff and the melody. But to me, the riff or the hook, that's what I'm looking for always. We're all looking for that hook. And once you have that, then you go like, okay, well, what chords maybe I'm going to play with them? And I look for interesting harmonies, and then the bass. So really, all the counterpoint you're doing sometimes is just the melody and the bass. And they're not even that related. Now, do I think you have to know counterpoint for rock music? No, you don't. But it does inform a lot of choices you make. And so when I started it, a bit of on the superficial level, it still helped me, and so, but now the reason I want to get heavily into it is not to write guitar music probably with counterpoint, but more for the synthesizer stuff that I'm, just for pleasure, but I'm doing quite a bit of. So we could do something on counterpoint up to the point where I'm comfortable. You would like a quick improvisation on your current favorite scale? Okay, I don't know I don't have favorite. Sometimes my favorite scale is the minor pentatonic, but well, let me think about it, and we'll do something next week. All right, I'll think of a scale. I wanted to do something about a circle of fifths and the modes, but that's gonna get like 3 views. So, but I'll keep it in mind and try it. If you have a scale you want me to play, I'll play it for you. I started listening to Bach last week, so I was hearing all the different instruments. Yes, well, that kind of spilled over in his orchestral stuff. But when you hear actually the harpsichord things, you'll be able to hear all these melodies like playing with each other. It's crazy. It's like one of those big fountains, and you see all the. So it's really great, and it might be beyond me. Some of these things you have to study from an early age, and have a lot of time to devote, which I don't have. I know what I am. I know I'm a rock guitarist. When you discuss your orchestra book and the different musical notes, octaves they centered on. Are you talking about the orchestration, the Foresight? Yeah, that's a great book, but there's a piston. The piston one is maybe even better, but these are books you can just read. You don't need to get a lot out of it. You can just read them, but they will show you kind of like, okay, well, the bassoons, what are the bassoons? You know, what usually are they used for, and what range they have. And I find it fascinating. Also because when you write a rock song, especially instrumental music, you are kind of focusing on all these levels, right? So there's a higher melody usually, then there's the harmony underneath, and sometimes it's like this, but sometimes it's more of a what's an example? I don't know. Very simple. It's 3 chords, but you don't play them like this, right? So you always have that harmony underneath, and the rhythm and the choice of notes of that harmony influences, or hopefully makes your melody better. And then you have the bass. So you're already working on those levels. Of course, in an orchestra you have a lot more, right? And so I find that studying orchestration kind of puts things in perspective, even in a rock band. Yeah. Listening to the music inspires and gets me out of the same old rock and roll rut. Yeah. Well, I do love rock and roll. You know, I was listening again to the new AC/DC album. I listened to it, 10 or 15 times, and it's great. And sometimes you think, you see, that's all you need. Don't worry about the stuff. But if you feel like you want to learn it, then you should, because that's all you can do, really. Think of what it is you like and do it. But as I said, a lot of stuff that I study, it trickles down into my music, but it's not something I go like, I want to learn this for my songs. I don't really do that. If something strikes my fancy, I just study it and learn it, and then eventually it will find its way. Like I don't know, maybe like the sitar, right? I learned the sitar in India with a guru, and some of the stuff stuck, and the classical Indian music certainly stuck with me. But the sitar, the actual sitar, the only time I really used it in a song is the intro for In Dreams, and it's backwards. So all that work on the sitar and all the practice really came down to me then just recording something very simple, putting it backwards, putting some echo and delay on it, and everybody could have done it, probably, but maybe I wouldn't have if I hadn't gone through the whole process of studying sitar. So you kind of have to go through it your own way, and eventually it will make, it will make sense for you, and you will all pull together. All right. So any more goals for 2021? Indraji, we could do a video on improvisation if it is something that you find interesting. And I will have to figure out a way to hear myself though, because you see, if I play for you now, it's not that I don't want to, but if I play for you now, I have no idea what I'm playing. See, I don't know. I'm hearing my guitar unplugged because I would have to wear headphones, which of course I can do that. It's no problem. So maybe we'll do a video on improvisation soon. So if you have any questions on that, use the comments. All right, so any more comments? Any more resolutions? That was good enough for me. This, oh come on, this is just nothing. This is an E major scale, which, yeah, it can be beautiful. But the reason, by the way, the reason I always use the E note, the E scales, is that I have this open string, and when I started out, I didn't have a looper. Didn't even know what a looper was. So I would do a lot of this. I would do a lot of I would do a lot of stuff in E. And if you know about theory, E is not the easiest thing usually, because C, A minor, people tend to move around those because they don't have sharps or flats. But I would always go to E. So if you study E Lydian, I think I was playing E Lydian. E Lydian has 5 sharps, and so I got comfortable with the sharps and flats pretty quickly because I put everything in E, maybe sometimes A, to have something to play underneath. And then I would say, okay, well, so in the end I am improvising, but So if I'm in E, I go like, okay, well, I can play it in this position, right? If I'm playing E Lydian, could I play E Lydian maybe up here? Right? And then I go like, okay, well, is it enough to play in a position? You see, I'm already moving. So I'm thinking, could I play? You have to forgive me, I have no idea what I'm playing, so please forgive me if it doesn't sound too inspired. So I can move on one string, or maybe I go like, okay, can I make it a bit more? So very horizontal, right? And then maybe you go like, well, I know there's a scale that is Lydian, but it also has, let me just raise the volume a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't feedback, because it drives me crazy. Then I feel like I'm sounding like an idiot in front of everyone. And it's like, shouldn't this guy know how to play the guitar? So now I can hear a little bit at least. And so maybe I go like, okay, well now I have the Lydian. But somebody tells me somehow that there's a scale that has a Lydian, but it also has a flat 7. So you know, I can always go one step further, because as long as I know, in this case Lydian, but it can be something a lot simpler. It can be major or minor. But if I have my E Lydian down, wait, is it too much distortion? I have no idea. Okay, so if I have my E Lydian down, and I go, look, if instead of playing a D sharp, I play a D. So it's a strange. Now, can you do it in A, right? Can I do A Lydian dominant? Anywhere on the neck, right? Change the note. And so that's the idea. You can go on forever. That's what I was saying in the beginning. You know, improvising like this is key. It's so important, because the other reason it's so important is that when you do it, you are guiding. You're kind of piloting the ship, right? Because you go, I want to go there. Now I want to go there. Now I want to go there. It doesn't come from anybody else. It doesn't come from a book. It doesn't come from maybe a song you want to learn. It's really internal. So that's extremely important. And so, yeah, sorry for the probably bad playing, but maybe it helps you out. You're crying. Is that because it's bad? And appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, great. Those scales sound so great. Dark, but great. Yes. Oh, yeah, Lydian is great. And the other one is Lydian dominant that I was playing. Sounds like you're playing the sitar music. Oh yes, you know, that's the other thing. That's the other thing that I was going to say, actually. Thanks, Jenny. I was thinking about it as I was playing. I said, I should say that, and I forgot. So I think the reason why I resonate so much with Indian classical music, which, as you know, is not really 100%, but really a lot of it is based on drones. There's actually instruments that only play octaves or fifths. So you get a basic drone, and on top of it, and you get all these different scales, which are not dissimilar from what we play. You know, a lot of people say, well, Indian music is microtonal, but a lot of it is actually based on most of the music of the scales we actually use. You know, a lot of they have different names, but they have Dorian and they have Lydian. And I think what fascinates me is that I did this out of necessity. I didn't have a pedal, I didn't have a looper, so this is all I had, and so I played against the E. Sometimes I did it backwards, right? I played the B and the E. And I say, okay, this is the E fifth, right? Just a fifth chord. And let me play on top of it. Oh, sorry, major. Okay, so that's another option. And when I heard the sitar music, I said, well, this is exactly what they're doing, right? They have this low note, which usually actually is a C sharp or a D, maybe a C sometimes, but really it's based more on those notes. And they're improvising and they're changing directions and they're changing feel over these drone notes. So I know it resonated with me very much. I said, look, I was doing it out of necessity, but somebody's doing it out of choice. That's what they want to do. And so it kind of encouraged me to keep doing it. And even today, when I learn something new, I always put it in E. And to do that, you really have to not mind sharps or flats, because usually it's kind of full of those. I like my movies comedy, but my music dark sounding. All right. Yeah, well, sometimes people say my music is kind of like broody or, kind of reflective. I don't know. I kind of like happy music too sometimes. Sounds great. Thanks. Beautiful. All right. Cool. Any more questions? Let me know if there's anything more I can help you with this week. And then next week, I will definitely do something that's teaching guitar, all right? Or music. I will do something didactic, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it would be fun to go on record, right, about the stuff I'm going to do this year. But really, usually I don't need to do it. I'm pretty disciplined, but it's still good to, is this? All right, sorry. I'm practicing your exercise 3 to 10 at 140 BPM, 2 notes per beat. Is that reasonable for now until I get better? Because it feels like I'm plateauing out at a speed. Well, if you're finding yourself stuck for speed, feel free to go through the whole book. You don't have to master anything to move on. You can get something today that you need, and then it's a cycle. It's always a cycle. So you can certainly keep going. Otherwise, try to figure out what it is you're. By the way, 140 BPM, 2 notes per beat is not slow. You're not doing bad. But you should kind of ask yourself why you're plateauing. So what is that is keeping you from improving? And usually it's something very simple, is economy of movement, or sometimes it's tension. But if you keep going in with these exercises, it's kind of like you're digging a hole and you're just making the hole deeper. So if something is not quite right with your technique or with the way you feel, then maybe you could move on, and you might discover something in the next exercises that will benefit you in this, 3 to 10, in these first exercises. So I would just keep going, and don't worry about it too much. So don't be like, I have to master this to move on. You have to improve this, then you move on. And it's designed so you can keep going back to them. I still play the same old exercises every time, because there's always something. So certainly keep moving and then get back to them. You will pick new things up that will help you. I practiced lesson 38. It sounds like a scary part is going to happen in a movie. Which one is it? Is it this one? Making the connection of your lessons to the overall motion is working for me. Oh yes, by the way, never forget that the book is a book and it's for practicing. Music is something else. You practice the book so that you never have to worry about technique, right? But you don't practice the book thinking it's music. Music is all there is to it. The book or exercise, it helps you get in touch with the music and put it out there, but never confuse the two. That's terrible. So that is a great comment, Jenny. All right, so maybe we should leave it here, unless you want to share anything else. Of course, I'll be more than happy to respond. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. I will just close it, but then, of course, feel free to write more questions. And I will see you next week. And if you are new, please do subscribe. I know a lot of the views on this channel are not by subscribers. So also I have a bunch of subscribers from years ago when I was posting videos with Encyclopedia every day. And so there's a bit of a renewal. So I would really appreciate if if you're new, please do subscribe. And maybe I will start posting random live things also. And that is art. Okay, I'll move on in the book at that speed and go with it. Oh yes, certainly. Try the whole book, and then you'll figure new stuff out all the time. And it's kind of feedback thing. You know, every time you do something, it will inform the best stuff. Jim says best wishes to everyone for 2021. Same here. Everyone have a great year. We'll be seeing each other often. And what else? Thank you again for your support if you have done it, and I know some of you have. And if you're new, again, if you want to support this, it's useful. Not today probably, but when I teach stuff and you find it useful, there's a link down there for donations, but you certainly don't have to do it because it's enough that you're here. And the reason for this video is that you learn new stuff. Thanks so much for your expertise, Andre, and thanks again. These streams are really good. Well, thank you. Yeah, hopefully this year will be the year where the channel kind of takes off a little more. And take care. Happy New Year to all. You as well, Jim and all. All right, Indraji, we look forward to your new YouTube channel. So if you feel motivated, please do that. Give it a shot. You know, you never know. And all right, everyone, have a great week ahead of you. And stay tuned. Maybe Thursday or Friday, as always, I will kind of announce the new video. All right, have a good one. See you soon and listen to some great music. All right, bye-bye.